Hello, Jim Howard here in Fort Worth, Texas. Today's date, it is October 28th of 2020. I think, about 6 more days to go to the election here in the United States. I already voted by uh, not absentee, but forget what they call it, but it's the same as absentee, the same same form and everything. I voted, by home, by mailing it in. So that's taken care of. Uh, I voted for John F. Kennedy. That was the first president that I voted for, and I voted then by absentee ballot because I was from Kansas City, Missouri, but I was in Euclid, Ohio, or slash Cleveland, Ohio, attending welding school at the Lincoln Electric Company, their headquarters. So I voted by absentee ballot, but here I voted by whatever they call it. And in Texas, if you're 65 or older, you can vote by mail-in ballot. And I definitely am 65 or older. I will be, in March, I will be 80, start to say 80 degrees. I guess that would be good. That'd mean I wouldn't be dead. Uh, so, I really don't have anything to report this time. I do have an electric blanket coming tomorrow. Um, I'm back to using my 29-inch, whatever kind of monitor it is. Oh, wait a minute. ViewSonic. Yeah, ViewSonic, I think it says. It's down here on the bottom, but it's dark letters on dark material. I guess it's good that it's not bubonic. That's all we need. We've got the China virus, and all we need is a bubonic plague. So I have been a subscriber for a long time to Microsoft Office, and now I think it's called Microsoft 365. I very rarely use Word or any of the others. I've been using for a long time Outlook Express, their mail program, which is now, I think, just called Outlook. Um, but it might be different. It seems like that they've got different platforms, and it might still be Outlook Express to you. I use Chrome browser and the, what is it? Microsoft Edge. Usually I'm using Chrome. Um, I use Start Page or whatever to make it easier for me to just click on something and go there. And I don't have to remember. There might be a better way to do it. I guess you could do it with links or stuff, but so anyway, I use Start Page. So that's when my computer starts up. That's the page that's the home page, or that I go to. Then I have the different pages for bookmarks. I have the ham radio links. Occasionally something gets mixed in here that's on the wrong. These are ham radio links. I'm an amateur radio operator. N0UWY. I almost never use the radio. the amateur radio. Um, Here's where I keep the bills that I need to pay, so I can just click on them, and the bank and that type of stuff. These are medical links. So there's my medical chart. Uh, I'm signed up for and using DNA, whatever that one is called. And my ex-wife, my oldest daughter, went ahead and paid for both of us to have it. Got a diabetic link. I'm type 2 diabetic, and I haven't done this finger stick in I don't know how long, but my diabetic, A2A or whatever, I forget what it's called, but it's 6.2 or something. That's okay. The 23andMe is the DNA thing that we use. PillPack is something that I haven't. There's a company started up a prescription service, and I thought it was a pretty neat idea. The you get your you get a roll, I guess, from them, and so it has time, the day, the date, and what's in the thing for you to take. So there might be 8 a.m. and maybe 8 p.m. The medicines might vary, something like that. Um, Now they just fill it for a 30-day supply. So with the insurance that I have, I can get a 90-day supply. So what this would mean if I used them would be that I would actually have to pay the small amount uh, instead of getting it all, get a 90-day supply, and I only pay for the prescription, once. Where if I go, then I have to pay the small amount for like 3 months. But this is now owned by Google. It says up there, PillPack by Amazon Pharmacy. I was sure it was Google that, no, I'm wrong. Okay, it's Amazon, bought them. So I would, I have to put my medicine, in this, and it's by day. Of course, it's morning, noon, evening, night. Of course, I just use morning and night. But I thought I was pretty smart when I got the thing that has 31 of these in there. But it's kind of a bitch to put the medicines in there. At first it seemed like neat, but then it takes a while, and then they're kind of hard to get them in this thing. Sometimes they drop. And if anything drops, I don't care if it's food, candy, medicine, if it drops on my floor, of course, or if it even drops on the desk, I throw it away. But so I'd like this PillPack thing from Amazon Pharmacy, but as of right now, I'm still using this. PillPack. This is Walgreens. I can click on there and go to wall, see what the status of my prescriptions are, whether they're filled, ready to be picked up. And then I can, say fill a prescription. But then also, of course, they basically take care of it. They know when it's time to put in an order for more. But I can actually also go to my medical chart and go to my doctor, and I can click on there to, I need a prescription refilled, or I need this or need that. Very easy to do. But apparently I'll be changing the doctor that I use, not my heart doctor, because I have a pacemaker in me. Just had it put in. Well, I had one put in about 10 years ago, and then this needed to be replaced, new battery. But I want to stick with my heart doctor. But my general practitioner doctor sent out a letter stating that he was in negotiations with, the medical insurance company, and that he thought he was going to not be using them, taking them like starting in January. And he sent a recommendation, I think, on a insurance company that he would be taking. So I'm just going to go ahead and find a new general practitioner before the first of the year. Even at this point, even if he sends out a letter saying that he's going to continue with the insurance company, I think I'll go ahead and change. I really am, actually, I'm seeing mainly now, I see a female doctor practitioner, or I'm not sure exactly what her class, she's not a doctor, but I like her, and she spends, necessary time. She's not in a rush, that type of thing. But I think I'm going to change. The reason, it's a small reason, two or three reasons. With the doctor, one, right off the bat, I think I saw him once, and then when I went back to see him again, I said, well, you can just give me the prescription, and I'll take it to the pharmacy. And he said, oh, I can't do that. We can't do it. Doctors can't do that anymore. They passed a thing that you can't give the patient the prescription. It has to be faxed or to the pharmacy or whatever. And I thought that's a lie. And so that didn't sit well with me. Then I went, what was the second? There was three things. Let's see, that was one. I can't remember what the third one, but anyway, oh, I know what it was. Every time I saw him for years, he told me, right, and of course the other doc, when I was at another doctor in another state, that doctor was telling me, you're borderline diabetic. And I was, for years, I was just, and that's my stupidity. I should have taken steps to make sure that I never kicked over into that range, but the number was always just right below the number where I would be a diabetic, type 2 diabetic. But when I came to Texas here and I saw this doctor, and he got back to lab work, he was so happy. It was like, wow. you're going to be you're borderline diabetic. You're going to be a diabetic. You're going to be a diabetic and everything. And then every time I'd go, I would still be borderline. And he seemed so disappointed. Oh, you're almost, you know. And then when I finally, several years later, had, you know, the lab work done. Of course, I had it done regular, but I mean, then he got the, you're diabetic now. Just wait a minute, I'll go get your stuff. And he goes off, comes back with the, and I was thinking, you know, all that time, I was thinking, you know, he wants me to kick over in the diabetic range because he wants to be able to sign me up for the thing to draw the blood and the test strips and all that type of stuff. And I thought, you know, I bet you if he gets, you know, 20 people or 25, and I was guessing, you know, and I don't know. I was thinking, you know, if he gets 20 or 25 people, and then he shows that he has me signed up, you know, by faxing of the, I live right close to a U.S. military base. I hope it's a U.S. military base. Air base. It's a joint reserve base, so the Marine Corps, the Navy, and the Air Force have reserve units to go out there. And so anyway, he was so happy, and I figured, and I don't know that this is true now, but I think it was, that when he signs up 20 or 25 people, and I'm guessing at the number, that the pharmaceutical company sends him and his wife to Hawaii or, you know, for all expense paid vacation to someplace. So that I don't know for true, but that's what I suspect. Then the third thing, this is before in fact, several years ago, because, you know, the virus wasn't around. But I was there for just, you know, a checkup. And he came in, and I can't remember now if he was, I don't think he sneezed in my face. I can't remember, but I thought, you should be wearing a mask. There again, this is before the virus, you know. And then I said, have you got the flu or? And he said, what did he say? No, allergies or something like that, which I knew was a lie. So unlike a lot of people, you know, you lied to me 2 or 3 times. That's it. Your credibility is zero with me. So I then, oh, okay, so this guy's giving me my checkup and he's right in my face, you know, looking down my throat and doing the various things right. You know, he was right there in my face and I can't remember, I know he wasn't sneezing, that would have been, if he sneezed in my face, but, so I'm not sure if he was coughing. I can't remember what he was doing now after all these years. But right after that, oh, okay, so 3, 4, 5 days, 6 days, whatever it was, you know, I came home and I said, well, I think I'm going to come down with a cold or a flu or something. And then I think it was like, whatever it was, 5, 6 days, whatever the period is, you know. And sure enough, I came down with, and I, you know, at my age and with my lifestyle, I might as well be in a prison cell, you know. I don't go anywhere. I go now less places, you know, but I really don't go any. So I had, and I got it from him, I'm sure. So the next time it was, and I think like it was then every 6 months, I was, checking in with the doctor. I asked if I could get one of the physician assistants, and they switched me over to this woman, and I'm very happy with her service, but I think it's time for me to move to a different doctor. These are some of the sites that I go to. Some of these I could eliminate. This was a theme, a person I was signed up, a company I was signed up with for WordPress themes. I paid, oh God, I hate to think how much I've spent on computers, software, and all that type of stuff. I bet for my WordPress site, I bet I paid over a period of time $400 or so for WordPress themes. This is my YouTube stuff, except there's other stuff thrown in there. And as you can see, I get, generally, less than 100 people come to see my YouTube videos. Now, here's 421 views. Here's well, you can see, about 100 is what it takes, and it takes a week or so to get usually those numbers. Here's 192 views, 163, 429 views. But in general, and you got to keep in mind that I have I was one of the first people, 2005 when YouTube started. That's when I signed up. I've been making YouTube videos since then. But of course, before there was a YouTube or any of the others, I was one of the first people to stream video on the internet, and that's when you had to use your computer to do the streaming. So if I got 7, 10 people getting video from me, streaming live video, my computer was just about, I couldn't, so far as using my computer to pull up anything, it was, it was being drained. I know that's what the situation was in 2000, because I did the census. I worked for the census to do the 2000. And at that time, I remember I was streaming video 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so there's video of me in 2000 working for the IRS, or not the IRS, the Census Bureau. Doing paperwork, because they paid you for doing the paper, getting your stuff in line and getting your, the questionnaires lined up and all that type of stuff. So I was streaming live video and being paid for it by the Census Bureau, and well, I wasn't making anything off of that was before YouTube, but I still wasn't making anything. In the very beginning, though, when I was streaming video, when I was like one of the few people streaming video, I had a lot of donations some donations of money and donations of other things. People bought cameras for me, a bicycle, quite a bit of stuff. But Now at that point, everybody, very few people had webcams, and very few people were streaming webcams. But anybody who did have a webcam. The rest of the people all thought that you were doing sex or something. That was the thing. Now, of course, everybody has webcams and all kinds of stuff, and nobody thinks anything about it. But back then, if you had a webcam, they assumed that what else would you be doing with a webcam? Remember one day I went into work at a hospital. Security went in, and it was a small local hospital, and I lived in the and I went into work, and they said, "Oh, we thought you might have been arrested." I said, "Arrested for what?" Well, the local newspaper reported that a person in Belton uh, had a webcam and forget what he's doing, something, porn or something, and the person was arrested, and we thought that might be you. We were worried about you, and of course at that point there were quite that's like I was like one of the first, and but at that point there was a Kansas City, Missouri police officer who had uh, bulletin board system on, or a BBS. I'm not sure he streamed any video, but anyway, he had a BBS and he had a webcam. And then there was a sergeant on the local police department that had one. And then there was a uh, guy who was a dispatcher for the local police department. He had one. And there was a whole bunch of people who got their start because of, finding my site, my bulletin board system or whatever. But back at that time, if you said you had a webcam, you were suspected of. I told a story about, well, I told that story, so no reason to go over it again. Basically, it was a story about um, a local guy who, because of my bulletin board system, he checked in a few times and then he asked a few questions, and then he mentioned or something that he didn't have a um, webcam, and I had several webcams, and I had one that was a black and white or monochrome or what do you want to call it before they had webcams that did, and I think it was even one that hooked to a printer port or an RS-232 port. And I said, well, I've got, a black and white, you can have it. I said, and so I gave it to him. I took it over to he lived a very short distance away. I took it over and dropped it off. He was handicapped. I think he was in a wheelchair. I'm not sure if he could get out of the way. And anyway, I dropped it off. And then I think he checked into my bulletin board system from time to time. And then he sent me an email and he says, Jim, you've been around for so long. He says, I need an old driver or something rather for Windows and or MS-DOS or something. I forget what it was. He said, would you happen to have that file? And I said, yeah, I've got I said, I'll bring it over and drop it off. I said, you can have the file. I'm using whatever it was, Windows then or something. And he said, well, I can come by and pick it up. And I don't think I was, I didn't know, I guess, that he could even drive because he was in a wheelchair. But I said, okay. So he came over and I had it ready for him. And so he says, well, he says, I guess you heard about me. And I said, no. And he said, I was in the newspaper. And they had a local newspaper, for a weekly paper for the town we lived in. And I said, no. He says, well, he said, I was arrested for possession of child porn. And I said, what? And he says, yeah. He says, I was framed. Right away I was thinking, I'd like to get him out of here as quick as possible, because the local police department actually did a really good job, and I knew that if they arrested somebody, like that, if they arrested somebody for child porn or whatever, the word would be out to every one of those officers. They'd be following him. They'd be watching where he goes, all kinds of stuff. And I was thinking, how do I get him out of here, And so he says, well, what happened was, he said, my laptop, that's all he had apparently, laptop computer. And he said that the latch for opening and closing the thing was broke on the laptop. So he took it, which is not unusual, by the way. He took it over to Kansas because it was right, this is Kansas City. We were in Belton, but this is Kansas City, Missouri, Kansas City, Kansas, Overland Park. I mean, all these little towns, And so it was not unusual. So he took it to a computer repair shop over in Overland Park, Kansas, to have the latch fixed on his laptop. And he said that the guy who was doing the repairs on his laptop said that he discovered child porn on the thing. So I think I said too, and I think, of course, he agreed. I said, well, if you're having the latch fixed, why would the guy be looking on your hard drive or anything? He says, yeah, he says, I think he was trying to, he was framing me. I said, well, did you know that? No. I said, why would he do that? Why would he, he says, like a conspiracy or, I'm thinking, no. So he said that the guy told his supervisor there at the computer shop, hey, I found child porn. And the owner of the shop or whatever said, I think he said, why were you looking at his hard drive? And anyway, the repair guy said, well, we need to call the police and have this guy arrested or whatever. And the owner said, no, just fix the latch and, have him pay for it and, give him back his computer. Do not call the police. So the employee went and called the police, and the police came out, took a report, and so anyway, so I'm thinking about, all the time I'm thinking, the main thing in my head is, get him out of here. And I said, well, it doesn't make sense that somebody would do that unless he had some kind of a complaint with you. There'd been some type of a problem with, strangers. And he said, nope, he's framing me. And I said, well, wait a minute, you have a laptop. I said, what time do you go to bed at night? He says, oh, about 10 o'clock at night. And I said, so your computer's still there? I said, are there other people that come in that could use your computer? No, 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 couldn't happen. And I went through, several more scenarios. I can't remember what they were. I, well, does somebody else ever use your computer? Nope, 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 just me. I said, it does not make sense that this guy is, you know, he says, yeah, he's. I said, well, so anyway, I then got him out, I mean, I forget what I said or what I did, well, I got to be doing some stuff here. Nice seeing you, and then he left. So what's funny is I told this story at some point on my WordPress site, blog. I told the site, and I got a email or comment left, and the guy says, hey, I'm the guy that, that you talked about with that child porn or whatever. And he says, he says, yeah, he says, I got fired. He says, I told the boss we need to call the police, and my boss said, no, don't call the police. And I called the police, and my boss fired me. And then he, in his comment, or whatever it was, there's a few things he said that made me sure that he was, who he said he was. So I never heard any more about what the outcome of that was, because I sometimes did read that local weekly paper, and they did. I'm not sure if he had what kind of a story there was about him. I didn't ask that. The local paper, they put in everything. Anybody arrested for a ticket, anybody, it was like, here's what happened this week. And they had all that stuff listed. And so sometimes I did look through the paper. But I never followed or found out what happened to the guy. Oh, I even mentioned to him. Yeah, I mentioned to him too when I was saying, well, I said, sometimes you can go to a site or something and other stuff pops up. And, or something, I forget what the details, and that's when I was talking to this guy. I said, okay, that could have happened. You could have gone to some site that was not a porn site or was not a child porn site or whatever. You could have gone there and the, picture got on there. And he said, nope, that couldn't happen. So anyway, he was out, out the door. I had a thing back in the old days. I don't know how many have been around that long, but there were message boards, and message boards would have pictures in there. It could be a weather map. It could be anything. And there was all these like 200, 300 different kinds of message boards that would talk about animals, cats, dogs, everything. So, but in order to see the pictures at this time, in the email message you would see a control code or something or other, and then just looked like something that was an encoded secret message or something. It would be, Then what you had to do was you had to highlight it, and you copied it. Then you saved that code with a name or whatever to your computer. And that took a little bit of time, a little bit of work. Well, you're not done yet. Then you want to see that, so then you have to load a editor or a viewer. That's a different program. and then you bring in that code, and then you hit a keys or whatever to display it, and then you would see the picture of the cat or whatever it was. Then a company came along, maybe more than one, but I found this uh, program that would automatically scan the email sites that had these encoded pictures in them. And I paid for the program. Not a lot of money, but I paid for the program. Then all I had to do was, it would automatically pull up a list of sites that had, pictures embedded in there, coded in there. And so then you could run that, and you could be doing whatever else you wanted to do, and it would go through the sites, the message sites. And then it would save where you could tell it to where you wanted to save these. You could say it's a funny cat site. You could have a thing created, a folder, funny cat sites, and it would indicated that the things from that site were to go in there. And then one might be flag sites or railroad cars or whatever. They had hundreds of them, thousands maybe. And then you tell that where you wanted to go. You could have it all go in one folder, but it was looked like it was better to have separate folders. So I just paid for the program, and I think first day or second day or whatever, I went through and I just click a whole bunch of these places. Hello.
Hi, good afternoon. Hi there, my name is Christian Jimenez. I'm the pharmacy intern here at Walgreens Pharmacy.
Yes.
Yes, this is Mr. James Howard.
It is, yes.
Hi there, Mr. Howard. How are you tonight?
Doing okay.
Very good, Mr. Howard. I was just giving you a quick call today, Mr. Howard, because it seems that maybe a couple months ago, myself or one of my coworkers gave you a call and asked you a couple questions over your benazepril medication.
Yes.
And I was just giving you a call tonight to check up on you and see how you're doing on the medication, and also asking if you're still taking the medication.
I'm still taking it, and everything's okay.
Very, very good. Any questions at all since you've been on it so far, Mr. Howard?
No, none at all.
All right, hey, Mr. Howard. For this one, they do want me to remind you just to do, it is important for you to take every day because it will help with your blood pressure. And the doctor did write it here for take one tablet twice a day for you. But I'm definitely glad that you're continuing to take it. Okay?
I'll
and
do
if you
it.
ever have any questions, always feel free to give us a call. All right?
I will. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Howard. Have a great night.
Okay.
Bye.
That was a pharmacist. Well, actually, it's not a pharmacist, or not somebody there. I think they have a location in someplace else, and they handle these kind of things. So where was I? Oh, okay. So I went through click, railroad trains. Well, that's it. And then I told it to scan like at midnight when I went to bed or something. Back then, I could actually go to bed at a regular time and sleep for 6 or 8 hours or something. Now I sleep for 2 hours. So then I woke up in the morning and bang, man, there's a whole bunch of images. I thought this is pretty neat. I didn't have to paste this information into this editor and then run the editor, and then so then I started looking into folders. Oh, okay. Oh, too, what it did, it was smart enough to know that if there were duplicates of it, it didn't put the duplicates in your, Of course, I think he had a choice. Do you want them to do, and click them. So, and I forget what folder it was or what message board it was. Bang, child porn, pulls up. I mean, I have several pictures of that in it. It's like, oh my God. So I deleted them. And then I didn't even look through the rest of the folders. I just went ahead and actually deleted the program that I had just paid for a day or two before that to do that. I thought, oh, this was convenient, but not good. So I just deleted that program that I paid, and then I don't think I even used it after that. I think I stopped looking at. Of course, technology also changed where now we don't have to go through any of that crap. You just take your browser, go someplace, and see not just images, but you can see videos, and you can all types of stuff, and be linked and go someplace else and whatever. But so anyway, I don't know. Probably in the United States. Um, if you have child porn on your computer, that's it. I mean, if the police find out about it, you're guilty. I mean, that's it. You have it on. Uh, there's a bunch of people. You see some famous people that something happens, somebody gets access to their cell phone or something, and they have I forget somebody just recently. I'm exaggerating this, but like a serial killer. And the guy was not a serial killer. I can't remember the details, but anyway, um, but let's say, okay, he's a serial killer, and, but the police then, when they arrest him, they check out his cell phone or whatever, or maybe the computer in his home, and they find some child porn. That's it. He's he's dead meat. They may not find him guilty of. He may have human heads in his refrigerator, but they're going to get him for possession of child porn. So. So where was I? I had a next door neighbor, and the family they had one computer, and so the next door neighbor was, I think, like 19 or 20, and he had an older brother who was 10 years older than he was or something, even maybe more than that also lived there. And then, of course, mom and dad. Anyway, this 20-year-old said, Jim, can you help me, about computers and all that kind of. I said, yeah, what's the problem? And he said, well, I was looking at the computer. I was looking at my computer, and a image of a naked. I forget exactly how he put it, but an image of a naked guy popped up. He said, I didn't. I wasn't looking at naked guys. He says, I don't know how it. I don't know how it got on there. He says, but I put it. It got on there somehow. And I said, well, you can have things like that. Things that happen. I said, there's a thing that you can click to not show your, what you've been looking at. He says, oh, yeah, I do that. I have it set where, you can't look at the history or whatever. And I said, well, you don't know how that got on there. And I said, it was no big deal, you know. Oh, no, no. My mom and dad will be, you know, upset. And he says, I deleted. I said, well, you deleted it. He says, yeah. He says, but I'm afraid there's more there. Would you come over and look at the computer? So I went over and I looked the best I could. I didn't see anything. I said, I don't see anything. And he said, oh, okay, well, thank you. And what was it? Let's see. It turned out that his older brother was gay. I didn't know his older brother was gay. I guess he knew his older brother was gay, but. And how did I find out that? Anyway, that's his older brother was looking at naked guys, I'm sure. And so that's where that thing came from. But this guy was, he thought somehow it got on when he was surfing the internet, that somehow it got on and that he was going to get blamed for it. And it was actually his older brother who had, I'm sure, looked at it, and that's how it got on there. Okay, I think that's all my notes and comments. By the way, okay, now if you've been here this long, and very few of you, I had a video a while back that I said, hey, this is just between us two. Don't tell anybody. But it looks like that I may be moving in the future out of Fort Worth and to a place where I can put up a weather station and put up an amateur ham radio antenna for myself. And just going to let you know, well, my daughter was, she bought property, and she checked with the homeowners association. Now she just bought the vacant lot, but she checked with the homeowners association, and they saw no problems with her building, and she was actually going to pay cash for building a small house for her and her son, who's an adult. And then when she was done building that, then she was going to build another small place for the three of us. And the first one she was going to pay cash for as it was being built. And then the second one she was going to, finance it. But so they got to the point where she ordered in supplies for the place they were going to build, windows and other things. And the guy who was going to be doing the building was putting stakes out so she could decide, where it was going to be and where she wanted the house facing south or whatever, doing all that type of stuff. And then I'm not sure of all the exact details because she just popped in today to tell us that no houses out there. She said that the guy who was going to do the building for her, also right away, she bought the lot, paid cash for it, and then once the lot, she didn't know this, that the place had a septic tank on it before, which needed to be replaced, dug up, and whatever you do. You know, I've never lived in a place that had a septic tank, but it was messed up, and so she paid to have I forget what that cost. She paid to have that done. So there's a lot, new septic tank, and the homeowners association out there. Uh, I don't know if she saw them today because I didn't get all the information, today from her, but the homeowners association indicated that they're not going to approve the house. I think it's too small. Uh, and she said they were really rude to her. Now, Hillary, she dyes her hair sometimes blue or orange or does something, and just does a lot of stuff like that. And they may not have liked her car. It has cat stickers all over it. Hillary runs around rescuing cats for people. So I don't know what happened, but it looks like the Howards are stuck here in Fort Worth. God help us. Anyway, thank you very much for watching.